Before I start my video, I just wanted to ask, how many gold bars did you have? I've seen some extremely high numbers. I think I had 370 or 380 in both regions, or thereabouts. I did gain from Survivors Club for a couple of days, as I have had it for a couple of days. But I've seen some numbers in up to 600, which is crazy. Hello survivors, and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. In this video I am going to be claiming my gold collection crate, and I'm going to be deciding on which character I'm going to be picking up. Now, if you saw my last video where I did a first look review of Angel, I did say I was going to 100% be picking her up in a region. I generally try to do this anyway if I can as a creator, so I can create content around that character, so I can present that character, show how good that character is. Generally speaking, you'd hope that the character would be actually decent when you're doing that as well as a creator. It can massively cripple you as an actual player in the meantime if it's not. But I do actually think that she is a good character. Out of the 3 characters you can get, these 3 characters are very different. You've got 2 damage dealers in Krista and James, and then you've got a very, very heavy support character in Angel. Now the thing is here, and she actually can do a bit of damage, we'll get into that in a bit, but she can do a bit of damage. But the thing is here, you can work towards damage dealers already. There are characters that are in the game that you can work towards. You can work towards Priya, you can work towards Dayu if you want to do like damage with bleeds and stuff like that. You can work towards Arav, Heng Yen. You know, there are damage dealers in the game right now already, and you can work towards those with cards. So Krista and James are much more easily replaced in terms of just being able to get another character instead of them. Whereas you can't work towards a character that's like Angel in terms of there aren't very many support characters in the game. It's been a massive complaint of mine in terms of medics and support characters are just not really being released in S-Class. It's generally speaking a lot of damage dealers. Now it's nice that Krista and James were the first characters out, because initially the first thing we do need as an S-Class character as a free-to-play is a damage dealer. But now, this is quite a bit later, we need missing links, and I think Angel is one of those characters that can hit the missing links on a lot of teams in terms of just being a support character, and she's also a counter to some issues out there. Zachary's, Doc Stevens. Now it's not a hard counter because her counter can be resisted, but it's still a counter. It's still something that is to be feared. It has to be played around, and that creates depth and tactical approach from people who have Doc Stevens, where there was zero tactical approach before. If you had Doc Stevens, it's Doc Stevens command, or Doc Stevens without a command, and you were literally zero risk of just getting your AP gains there. Now there's risk, now you have to think about things, now you have to formulate an attack plan. So it's actually creating a better attack depth just based on one character that's getting released. Whether you claim her or not, this is going to improve your gameplay, because people are going to have to create their teams differently just in case you do bring her on your attack team, just in case you do have her on your defense team. Now this is going to actually be the region that I do claim my Angel, and it's because I'm getting Pete very soon, and I can either use her behind Pete on a defense team or Pete behind her on, it just like easily it's going to be fine on a defense team for those 2 characters, and instantly my defense team is going to be boosted straight away with that. So I do get the choice crate, as you can see, and we'll go and claim my character. So here's the choice box, and I'm going to choose Angel in this region. Like I said, I'm happy to get her for sure. I do have Krista from my previous choice in this region, so I'm happy enough to get Angel. I think she's a good character. I think she's going to be great on attack teams. I've got Priya, so she's going to be awesome to, you know, be an issue for Zachary's and Doc Stevens. Basically, the overpowered 6 stars, you know, to just bring them a bit more, you know, down to earth a little bit, rather than being the most dangerous characters on a defense team. Now they're not as dangerous, which is good. So I'm going to level up her active skill, and this is just to show you how her active skill works. Some people don't seem to understand. Basically, I'll level her up just to her active, and we'll get to Ulysses nice and quick this way, because I'm on Survivors Club now. She's got so many 2 stars to get through, and that's her active maxed out. I nearly gave her one too many. There we go. There we go. She gets 20 levels off that as well, so that's gonna be 20 levels missed on level ups. Oh, I'm gutted. I'm actually gutted. But she gets plus 100 to exhaust, plus, you know, all these are hundreds and starting cooldowns and so on and so forth, and it finishes off being like this. As you can see, 8 out of 8. It goes to turn 1, and up to 5 enemies get 500 exhaust for 3 turns. Now, this is like the main draw of her for an attack team in terms of her support character role. It counters characters that realistically either shouldn't be on defense teams or are really powerful on defense teams, and they just need to be, like I said, brought back down to earth, sort of like in line with other characters where they have counters and they have to use certain resists to try and, make sure that counter doesn't happen. And that's Doc Stevens is the main one, but also Arav. I've been seeing Arav on defense teams with getting no leader bonus and just wrecking because of the, obviously his rush. Once he gets it, he just keeps rushing and keeps rushing. Most attack teams can't deal with huge amounts of, attack from defense teams, and his rush is insane because it's basically like a basic attack to a line every turn that does 750% of normal. I mean, it's just to think about it that way is crazy. But this does counter it because 500 exhaust to an Arav would mean 5,000 main damage getting taken because he's going to get 100% AP gain once he does his rush. Now, Angel, when it comes to her mods, can be built actually multiple ways. It really depends if you're going to use her on her attack team or a defense team. Now, if you're going to use her on an attack team, you could actually use her offensively. She's got a 400% rush to a line, and she has 4k base attack. If you consider, compare that to James. James has 4.8k base attack, and he does 250% on his attacks. Now, those can crit, so it gives a little bit like extra damage now and then, but he does pretty good damage as well. And Angel, I think, could potentially do the same on attack teams if you wanted to build her offensively. Now, if you had good damage dealers already, let's say you had Priya and Princess, you don't necessarily have to do damage, but you can get a little bit in there. However, if you wanted to use it on a defense team, I would say the best thing you can do is make her a bit defensive. I wouldn't go for any sort of offensive set or any offensive mods, basically. Maybe an auxiliary just to be annoying, but generally speaking, you'd want to keep it quite defensive. One thing to mention as well is if she is the leader, the issue she's going to have is her HP, because she's going to get defense bonuses from her leader skill, which is 40% defense. Generally speaking, the best thing to do there would be actually to make her a defensive weapon because they would multiply with each other. She's going to be very lacking in HP, so you might want to go HP on HP for her mods just to give her another over 1000 HP there. You could go for a defense mod as well, but if you've got defense on the lead skill, defense on the weapon, you don't really need that extra 650 to 1000 defense, if I'm honest. So with the starter mods, I'd go with this. HP on HP just to set HP up. Obviously, defense against fast is generally speaking the best way to go, unless there's really meta attack team at the time, which there isn't really at the moment. I guess Priya attack teams you could say, but it's just if any fast character to attack her when she hasn't got this, she's going to take so much damage regardless of the amount of defense and HP she's got, so you generally want to try and tank her out heavily here. So if you are going to use her on a defense team, I'd actually say one of the best resists you can use is Daze Resist, just to stop her from being dazed and so she can actually get that active off. Now in the wildcard slot, I'd actually go with Stun Resist because stun is still the worst type of control. Obviously you're not going to gain AP and you're not going to do any damage. When you're impaired, you can still do damage. When you're taunted, you can still gain AP and do damage. When you're confused, you can still gain AP and do damage. So stun is still the worst pretty much out of those. Obviously you'd want to go with the same set. I actually don't have any stun resist on HP that are spare. All of mine are already on characters, but you get the gist. You're going to get a bit of bonus HP if you keep it with the same set. So do that as much as possible, but with the resist, generally speaking, you still can go out of set and it's still useful, especially if the resist amount is, in 50 to 55% plus. Now in the auxiliary slot, this is where there's a couple of ways you can go. You could give her extra defense when she's stunned and not use stun resist, so that if she does get stunned, she just turns into a really massive tank. However, it could be good to go more offensive here, Burn, something like that. Burn can be quite dangerous, can get pretty bad. Depending on what other characters you're going to use with her, you could use a bleed mod. If you're going to use someone like Dayu with her, then the laceration would come into effect. You could also go with Graze to try and reduce the incoming damage. That is RNG based, so potentially speaking, it could not even work in a raid. You could go with Reflect to reflect characters who have multi-hit rushes or basic attacks. Heng Yen rushing her would reflect quite a lot of damage. However, I would say AP Drain is generally speaking an easy one to go for. That or Reflect is generally speaking the safest ones to go for on any character on a defense team, unless you've got a really good idea of how you want to build your team. But it can be good, like I said, just to have one burn mod just to be frustrating. So now you can see her stats have been boosted quite heavily in the HP zone. 3.8k isn't too bad, and this is her instant stats. You're going to give her about 1,200, maybe up to 2,000 if you get a nice platinum mod extra HP. and her base HP when maxed out is over 4,000, so you can get her to 6,000 HP without having any multipliers from her lead skill or her weapon. Now in terms of her weapon, I just went with a basic percentage defense weapon, AP on attack, and impair on defense. This is just kind of basic, how you would generally build most characters who are on defense teams who are tough, who want to make defensive, either HP or defense. I'd say defense is a good one with her just because it would multiply with her lead skill if you did use her as a leader, and even if you didn't and you used her behind Pete, it would still multiply with his lead skill. Just remember that mods never multiply with leader skills, they're added on at the end, so you're not going to get a bonus there. So I'm going to take on a friendly duel and you'll see how her leader skill works and basically how it would work against the Dr. Stevens. So as you can see, as a leader, everybody has been dazed for one turn, and this includes Dr. Stevens. Now this alone is not obviously that great, but it does give you an extra turn on these heavy first turn teams. I wouldn't really recommend her as an attacking leader unless you were using bleed and burn, because obviously you're not going to get huge damage multipliers. But this is something to just think about in terms of how she would work on a defense team. So imagine if a team was attacking me, now it's completely dazed. Instead of Dr. Stevens doing his active and then being commanded by Dale, he can't do anything, and they're just going to basic attack me. As you can see. Now he would be able to do it now, but I have impaired him, so you can get lucky on the RNG on weapons as well. Now let's see how she would work as a non-leader, so I would not be dazing somebody the first turn. Now obviously no daze comes in, but I can do my active skill on Dr. Stevens, and it would actually do it on everybody. And then if I was just to attack, what should happen is Dr. Stevens should do his active, and then Dale would command him to do his rush. However, Dr. Stevens has got 4.2k HP here, so he should die instantly. Let's have a little look. And that's exactly how exhaust works. For every 10% of your AP you gain, you're going to take the amount of exhaust damage that is on you. Her exhaust is 500, it's going to be times by 10 for 100% AP gain, and that's going to be 5,000 damage taken. So let's fully deck out this team in terms of a rough idea of a attack team that you could use. Basically what I could do now is I can crit with Heng Yen on the first turn. If you have the weapon upgraded to get 100% crit, that character would get crosshairs. If I did Angel's active, that character should be decapped first turn if it is a Doc Stevens and they have less than 5,000 HP at the time. Doc Stevens still has the issue where his weapon can give AP to teammates, so it is still a good idea to disarm him before you try and get the crosshairs on him. Now I could potentially kill him anyway because I've already done quite a huge amount of damage. However, some Doc Stevens do have up to 6, sometimes 6.5 thousand HP, so you might want to whittle them down a little bit and then do the active of Angel. So now as you can see, he has been killed and he is decapped and he's not coming out back again. The great thing is everybody else is now exhausted, and what's going to happen is you're going to see Pete do his active on turn 2. As long as I do damage to other characters and he tries to heal them. So I won't do any more damage. He should do his active and you will see some damage coming on characters. And as you can see, Pete took 1,000 main damage because he gained enough AP that it was between 20 and 30%. His active is 35%, but it's about the AP that you gain, not about the amount of AP it could give. That's why you saw Doc Stevens exhaust only do 3k damage rather than the 5,000, because he didn't gain 100% AP. You can see how much AP a character gains when they do their active. So if I do my active of Angel on him and then defend with everybody else, what you should see is it says 66 AP in yellow above his head, and that's because he's gained 100% AP and 66 is 100% of his AP. And there it goes, and that's how it works. Now, in the future, what you can see is Dr. Stevens can have exhaust resist and daze resist if you ever use her as a leader. But what can also happen is you can use Dr. Stevens behind Angel on a defense team, and Angel's leader skill will daze offensive Angels, so offensive Angels' active skills will not work. So Angel on a defense team as a leader actually counters Angel, which is actually pretty interesting. So I'm pretty happy to pick up Angel. I think she's a nice character. I think long term as well, she could actually be a reasonably decent damage dealer, because 400% damage to a line of enemies with 4k attack, considering you could get that boosted up quite heavily, especially behind a leader like Priya, because instantly that goes to 6k attack just base. And if you get an attack multiplier in her hands with weapon, she could do a lot of damage to a line of enemies. That trauma is going to be nice against other characters like Zachary's, who are also very prevalent and very dangerous as 6-star characters. And she could work very well with certain bleed and infection teams, because obviously the best way to counter those teams is cleanse, and trauma would just rip you apart. However, do tell me which character you're deciding to go for, Krista, James and Angel. Do tell me why as well, not just which character you're going for. Did you go for Krista first and you're trying to get 2 Kristas? I've seen some people think that's going to be a good way to go. I think if you're on the fence and you're really unsure, Angel is just not a bad pick. You can go wrong with Krista and James, but you can't really go wrong with Angel. Like I said before, you can work towards other damage dealers long term with cards. There's not really a character like Angel available, and this may be the only way you can get her. There may be a gold brick collection in the future where she's involved in that again, but you're taking a massive risk there, and that is not guaranteed. But best of luck and have fun with your new character. Thank you very much for tuning in to my video, guys, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.